Okay, this is the boat. I'll be testing the sail code with the Ardupilot Rover development code. It's an ec12 is the style of boat, very stable, full keel. Not a sports car of a boat, but very stable and actually sails quite a bit like a people boat would. I've got everything mounted in it. It's not really the way it's permanently going to be, but for testing reasons, everything's good. And we're going to see what happens today. Going to try some acro, maybe a little auto, a little tuning. We'll see how things go. At this point, I'm not ready to cut holes in the deck to put equipment in better places, but I have everything in the hatch on top, which, although it's a big boat, everything's in one spot, and it would be better off being spread around inside the boat somewhat and just have the hatch for batteries, honestly. That might come later, but we're going to see what happens today. We've got a pretty light wind, pretty consistent, but kind of light. I don't have a wind vane yet on it, so I'm going to be the wind vane, essentially, and we'll see what happens. Okay, I finally got a little bit of wind today, and I appear to have the bugs out of my boat. This is a simple 3 waypoint mission. I just put it in auto. The wind's coming and going today. The steering off the wind is pretty good. On the wind, it's zigging quite a bit around. I think it's gotten to 1. Now it's going to go across the pond. Well, maybe it hasn't gotten to 1 yet. My ground station's a little ways away. We should see it bear off at some point and head across the pond. I would say now it's going to 2. So it is overcorrecting. I think that's probably the L1. It's set stock at 8. I might try to move it up to 12. I don't think today. I've been here a little while waiting for the wind to fill in. I'm getting hot. But it's going to go about 3/4 across the pond, then turn around and come back in. It really takes probably 3 to 5 miles an hour of wind for the wind vane to be accurate. To give you an idea how light the wind is, these are a bunch of Soling 1 meters that are barely moving. So, you know, we do not have a lot of wind today. But the boat gets off that direct line from waypoint 1 to 2 and kind of weaves around a little bit. I'll check my ground station, see if it's reached 2 yet. Yep, it's reached 2, and now it's turning back. And it's probably going to keep turning. It's going to keep turning left until it gets on again that imaginary straight line between waypoint 2 and 3. And then if it behaves like it did the last time I just tried it, once it gets on that imaginary line, it'll come down to 3. It does a very good job a little off the wind. The wind's kind of coming from behind the boat, although it doesn't look like it the way the sails are set because the apparent wind, or it's not enough for the wind vane. Okay, looks like it just caught a puff of wind from the stern. It's letting the sails out. Getting a little speed. And any time now I'm expecting it to turn right or to starboard. There it goes. And now it might oversteer a little bit, but it'll come back online. And it runs a pretty good course downwind. It's just upwind I'm having a problem with. Actually, this time it's zigzagging quite a bit downwind too. So it's a very slow weave it does, which in the past has been caused by the L1 controller. And shortly here, when it gets to waypoint 3, it'll turn and go into hold. There it is. So it just reached waypoint 3 and now it's in hold. See, right now the boat's trying to get to waypoint 1 again, but the wind vane's got it tricked into thinking it's on the wind. So it's actually tacking to 1, even though the wind really isn't. It's just not quite heavy enough. There goes the vane now, moving a little bit. Okay, sails are easing a little bit. It's on a beam reach. It's coming into the wind, sheeting in. But waypoint 1 is still on the wind. And it was a kind of a lousy tack. Kind of interesting what happens to it when it gets locked into the wind. Eventually it'll get going. It's got a little bit of a puff now. If the wind would just pick up and hold so I can watch the boat under some kind of consistent wind for tuning purposes. Okay, I'm going to say it's heading to 2. Let's see, now it's back on line, a little into the wind. Okay, it's hit 2 and now it's going to slowly turn around and come back into 3. It is making rather wide turns from waypoint to waypoint. I'll have to figure out what parameter that is. Maybe I'll post my parameters later, and a couple of the geniuses on this thread have been posting this stuff can look over and maybe give me some kind of pointers. I'll look at the logs too. And hold.